What's up, everybody? It's your main man, Joe Blackburn, and we are doing it big today. I appreciate everybody's support as I announced yesterday that I was going to be creating this channel. It's called The World is Burning, and I want to give a little background and maybe some insight on what that means, why I'm doing it to an extent, and what it can be, like what this should end up being at the end of the day. So I want to start off with social media has really changed even since I've been doing this professionally to an extent. There was a day I remember, I'll never forget. My first ever major interview was with John McAfee in CCT back in 2017. Got a lot of love for John. Rest in peace, my man. And yes, questionable lifestyle and decisions, sure, but his principles and what he stood for publicly and who he wanted to be has always been pretty consistent. And again, I'm not going to get too much into his personal life, but what I will say is um, through some of the conversations that I had with him, both like off air before like we were recording, and then and the things and how he said it specifically, I learned very quickly among him, but between that interview and watching others people who do this pretty professionally or in a way that is their personality depends on it in a lot of ways. Um, they're not always telling the truth, but they're doing it in a way that's not lying. They're maybe they're embellishing a perspective or exaggerating a concept so that somebody gets the point. And I say that, and I'm going to reference, how McAfee had made that statement that became infamous with him about that Bitcoin was going to reach, $1 million. First, he said 500,000. And then as he could see that people were freaking out that he said that, he was like, you know what? It's not just going to be 500,000. It's going to be 1 million. Forget 500,000. And if you thought people were going ballistic at 500,000, they went absolutely crazy when he said that about 1 million. But what so many people fail to see from that statement he made was it was never about the price of Bitcoin. It was about, you better start paying attention. This is not a joke and it's inevitable. And if you don't believe that, you're crazy. Like I have a hard time rationalizing the way that people think on the internet because they attack statements that with no context. This is a problem in today's world. And nothing is more relevant than problem in today's world uh, than the current state of what I believe Facebook and Twitter to an extent. I think Elon called out Twitter enough to where they're having to to do certain things. But you know, the art of explaining things or to the art of getting your point across is in today's society with social media, with the standards of the woke culture that you better act a certain way or you better be this way or else we're going to bully you into, oh no. Uh, it it's a different age than what most of us grew up with. And the kids and the children and the young adults today who are living it in real time and don't have anything to fall back on as far as life experiences, like that's just normal to them. And that's scary. It's scary to think that they're growing up where Facebook and Twitter can censor to an extent and they think it's the right thing. It's not just scary. It's mind blowing that people don't rationalize their human rights to a certain extent that certain things should be banned for being said. I'll be the first person to say that there's a level of respect humans should have for each other that they wouldn't say something. But if you're going on the internet and you're saying your opinion, whether it be political or whether it be personal, you should not be in a situation where people won't converse with you because of that. I have never heard somebody say something on the internet that made me say, I'm so offended that I can't even bear the thought of this person. Maybe there is. Maybe if you said that to me, that's would be my how I would have to relate to somebody being so offended or woke that they have to prove their point by never conversing or helping this person either overcome their adversities, maybe that they grew up and they were thinking a certain way, or their maybe the way that they were raised. Like, people deserve a chance to learn, and learning shouldn't be at the expense of never being able to get another job unless it's something illegal or truly disgusting wrong. And I don't even need to get into the I just there's just a fine line between it's well, excuse me, before I say that part, I'll say there is a distinct over the line type of comment somebody can make. Uh, True, blatant, direct racism or bigotry to an extent where it's just intentionally to be hurtful. That's a very different context than somebody saying something in regards to either a joke. Maybe it was a poor choice of a joke. But before I get too carried away, I really need to stay focused here. I don't want to bore everybody out, but I look at what the problems that people face today, both professionally and socially. And it starts with how we're becoming so accustomed to giving in. And one of my good friends, his name's Eric. He made a point to me one day about a topic that I was against. I was against his point of view. He's a very conservative dude. I typically can be very conservative, but I'm very much liberty first at this point in my life. Um, but he said, Joe, like I don't disagree that the point that you're making is not well intended. He goes, but the problem is if you give something to the government, as in a right, you're never getting it back. And I never thought of it that way. Now, this is many, many years ago, and um, it's trivial. The concept we were talking about at today's day, it's trivial. It's not even, I can't even believe that the world was so simple. We could talk about such simple things back then. It's not even important. But the point is, we have the ability to hold our rights closer to us than we're doing. We're not acting on what our rights deserve to be acted on. The more that we give, the less we're ever going to get back, if any. This takes me to a broader point that, like on Facebook, for example, I have a very large reach and a large audience. I'm the admin of two major groups in cryptocurrency and blockchain on Facebook, Crypto Coin Trader and the original Ethereum group. And I have a lot of really good friends, a lot of verified profiles, a lot of people who are significantly well established. And I went live the other day in both groups at the same time, utilizing my Facebook page because I heard from Facebook that they weren't going to consider verifying my profile, which whether it's true or not, who knows. I haven't been verified yet, but I was told that, hey, my page might actually be able to get verified. So, and I don't even care about being verified. That the blue check mark would be nice. Obviously, it would be nice to have that type of credibility, but it's not something that like I'm actively like trying to go and get. But the problem is that I have fake accounts that constantly berate people who are friends with me or my family members or just people who follow my profile, and these scammers pretend to be me. And for the most part, I think most people know now, like it's been going on for so many years. But I think about how much Facebook did during the COVID situation, and by all means, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done everything they could, but like people are being scammed, not just in crypto or blockchain. They're being scammed in every facet, and the fact that they won't go after hundreds, if not tens of thousands of people daily, maybe even close to two or 300,000. I don't know how many people are being scammed by fake accounts regularly, but it's happening enough that these people don't stop doing it, right? Like they're successful enough. There should be it doesn't have to be a blue check mark for them to be able to verify through a course of sequence of events that allows that person to have a real profile. I'm sure it's a slippery slope. I'm sure that there's a lot of risk that goes into verifying an account, and that you want to be very credible when you say these people are verified. Otherwise, the verification process loses its credibility. Right now, it's credible when somebody has a blue check mark, no matter whether you agree with the platform or not. That that's the real person. I just feel like Facebook could come up with some concept. So, on Facebook, because there's a lot that I've dealt with in regards to people actually being scammed to, just the point, it's just aggravating, man. But these people are getting more attention to their accounts in certain areas of Facebook that are pretending to be me than I can sometimes get for myself at times. And the point I was going to make is I was I was live, and I was doing this actual the introduction to this show, The World Is Burning, and before you knew it, guess what? I had a massive, whopping, huge amount of people watching, of total 13 max. I just, I'm not worried about the numbers, but it's, I spend my time and I really think through the things that I want to say to people, because I want people to have a perspective of the average Joe, of somebody who has been doing this for a long enough, who has I guess the speaking ability, the public speaking ability, and the desire to go and engage with the community the way that I do. I'm pretty level headed. I'm not always going to be even close to right constantly or anything. I'm going to do my best to be ethical and to be transparent in my process on why I get to a certain place in my head. Maybe you disagree with me with something. Doesn't mean I'm not willing to listen or even learn from your perspective. Like, let's not stop because we disagree. Let's start because we disagree. Let's engage because we have different opinions. And the one beautiful thing about the cryptocurrency space, and I really feel like the culture was set at such an early stage on social media, that while people can be anonymous and they can be like really, really hateful even at times, it's almost a protective measure, and people don't take it nearly as personal, even in the attacking sense. Like, they don't see it as a, I'm making a stance, this is my area. Now, people exist that do try to do that, try to be woke in crypto, but there's no time for it, and that those people will not be successful in their endeavors, because there is a liberty first sovereign attitude about cryptocurrency. And this, to me, is the most important fundamental social aspect what crypto has been able to absorb about itself. It's absorbed this ideology through Bitcoin's standard. This is something that I think is humanity's last hope, is to, and it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. And I want to be very clear about this. I don't mean it needs to be Bitcoin to be the standard in sovereignty and liberty. There is a reason why every variation of human existence for the history of the world has had something that would be in a a larger form called government. It exists in family households all the way up to the highest level, which is countries at this point, since that would be the largest, I guess you could say. Well, no, I mean, countries is the largest variant of human collaboration and acceptance of rules, right? So, I mean, the United States is like a bunch of smaller countries that came together, created this government, which it's now one country with state lines kind of meaning something. Really, it's almost irrelevant. The federal government is becoming very powerful, and it is doing everything it can to absorb more power on its own. But to kind of reel back in a little bit, I was very disappointed at the reach in which Facebook was allowing me to reach the audience that I am spending a lot of time cultivating, growing, and being been part of. So, I kind of finally had enough and said, I'm going to go back to YouTube and give this a real shot. I'd always seen YouTube as kind of like a backup place just to keep older videos, because I really enjoy doing them with the community that I know and that I appreciate, that knows my personality, knows my intentions. I mean, context is lost even on a video. It's one sided. It's a monologue, right? Nobody's talking to me to clarify or ask me a question right now in regards to how do I feel about something, that I just said. Like, can you give me some more? And sometimes I don't realize that I've skipped over an aspect or a tidbit of information that might be really relevant to somebody, so that they understand my context. This is typical on the internet, right? And people jump and assume very quickly. They jump to conclusions very quickly, and they box people in, which is so stupid. It's just stupid. It's like people think they're smart and they're not. And it doesn't mean they're not smart at being good at something. It means it's irrational to assume you understand somebody's intent by a statement on the internet. People can be joking. They can be saying something in jest. I have made massive mistakes that I've learned from. And don't get me wrong, we should we should hold people to different standards based off of what we assume their experience is, how old they are, and how old was it, or how long ago was it that they were saying something that might have been out of line. Should people be held accountable? Absolutely. 100%. Firm believer in that. Nothing is more important than the social responsibility as a group. I just wish we did that in a way that was more productive for people. Now, I can complain all day long about this, but this is the context I want to give to move closer to what is the discussion that needs to happen. Who do I disagree with wholeheartedly on issues that I could converse with to set an example where we could actually come to a reasonable understanding of each other and show that respect towards one another. So I have a lot of friends. I've already had actually two friends reach out when I kind of gave them some background on what I was going to do with this. Um, it's not so much about crypto or blockchain, and it's definitely not about politics. It's about what are we doing to actually move past this point in time, and what are the solutions that we're going to see full time. Now, this is not some, some long-winded, like, I'm going to fix the world or I'm going to have a conversation better than other people, but I just feel like through the time that I've spent on the internet, which is, I mean, I got on Facebook in 2004. I have been active on it since 2004, and it is a huge part of my life. And I am flat out disgusted with the suppression and the algorithm presence and the time that I have spent and the lack of the ability for me to communicate a very innocent message. And I'm not talking about something as serious, even as what I'm saying with this show. I'm talking about how much fun are we having in crypto. I like to get drunk on camera. And converse and be stupid and rowdy and fun. But this is not allowed anymore. And I truly can say this from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate the crypto community in a way that very few people really understand, because people don't realize how uniquely important the people of crypto are for all the success that it's had. And it's not, oh, we need everybody to continue. Crypto is not going anywhere. Bitcoin is here to stay, folks. I mean, at least for a foreseeable future. But it didn't get there without the community being competently aware of each other's differences without even caring, because it's none of their damn business. Um, Again, I'm being a little bit suggestive of a just conversation that isn't even being had regularly. It's just an acknowledged unwritten rule that people somewhat respect each other's privacy. You know, nobody's against government. People are against bad government, or what they perceive to be as bad government, right? Everybody has a way that we could be doing it better. I mean, there are very few real anarchists, and I'll tell you what, I do not. It's hard for me to find a relatable concept of anarchy, because the fatal flaw for anarchy is that you're trusting that other people are going to abide by your expectations, and then that the snakes in this world will not take advantage of others, even though you may be strong enough. There's a reason why. I mean, unless you're talking about like literally just going to war, people can fight all they want. I mean, there's no circumstance in which I would want to be part of that world, or that style of, or lack thereof, government. Um, I believe in very small, regulated state lines that allow federal lines that allow the state lines to be the defining cultural and social factors. I think that there is a place for the federal government in the United States specifically, but I don't believe that we're in a position where we can say the federal government knows what they're doing for anything, for literally for anything. And there's a reason for that. It's because the entire United States is not the same. We live under basic guidelines that protect our rights, and then we expect the federal government to enforce this cultural, oftentimes misunderstanding of what they believe the law should be, and then we have to wait till the Supreme Court makes a decision. Then we're supposed to enforce that. But I'm going to tell you, the way that that's enforced in California should be the exact same it should be enforced in Alabama, should be the exact same it's enforced in Texas or in New York. But there should be the ability for states to add on to, or adjust in ways that are constitutionally relevant for their communities. I mean, there should be the ability for us to say, we live in Alabama or Texas or Florida, or and you live in California or Oregon or North Dakota. We do things different here. The government should not be daddy. The government should not be mommy. The government should be what ties us all together and allows us to be great together. We're nowhere near that. All right. I don't want to ramble too much on that part. So I'll close this off by saying I've truly enjoyed the experiences and the time that I've spent on Facebook, and I'm not leaving Facebook. I mean, as much as I hate it, I don't want to leave it. I enjoy the social, very innocent aspect of how I get my news or stay in contact or see what people are doing. I'm very disappointed that I can't reach a broader audience with the messages that 13 people and 600,000 people that are in my circle. 150,000 on CCT or just under, and then 500,000 on the Ethereum group, admins of both groups, and I'm unable to reach anybody at this point. And I will admit that this is probably a outlier, and that the factors that fall into 13 people viewing it, there's something to be said that Facebook is minimizing the influence of maybe some group leaders these days, and it's not just one person or myself. It's a lot of people dealing with it on innocent groups. I've heard about it. I was reading, because I was really upset about it yesterday. I was reading up, and there was like this animal meme group, and the people were really mad about like not being able to reach people on their live videos anymore and stuff. So I mean, I recognize that the algorithm is inserted a certain way for a certain reason, and I could probably understand some of that, but I'm just not going to wait around. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. I have a lot to say. I'm going to say it, and I want you guys to join me. I cannot wait for this process. I appreciate everybody who's already supported this by subscribing. I appreciate it if you could drop a like and leave a comment, or at least subscribe. That would mean so much to me. I appreciate everybody. But look, the world is burning, and let's talk about it. That's kind of where we're at, right? So we'll see you guys next time.